Not only is this not a silly question, it's a very common question. And I wanted to jump on just to give a little bit more of a detailed rundown on different flours. So very briefly, there are a couple of different factors that will separate each flour and their uses. The main thing I'm going to focus on is the protein content, as that is the most important difference. However, there are other differences. For example, the type of wheat that is used. Harder wheat means more protein. How finely is it milled? And as well, if there's additives or treatments. Some flours will come with baking powder in them, some of them are bleached, which you'll see a lot more in cake flours. But as I said, I wanted to focus on protein, so what does it do? Protein is the flour's secret to its structure. Very simply put, when flour meets water, it forms gluten. Gluten is the stretchy strands in bread that trap the gas that comes off your yeast. This is what helps your dough rise. This is where a higher protein flour like strong white flour will make a better bread, whereas plain flour is better for something like a soft cake. But to give you a very brief rundown of the more common flours, you have your bread and your strong white flour. These are basically the same things. There is a bit of a difference in protein sometimes, but the main thing is that it's high in protein. This is usually around 12 to 14%. Basically, more protein means more stretch, which means a better rise. Then we have our good old plain flour. This is your all-arounder flour. It's got a little less protein at about 9 or 10%. This is perfect for things like pastry, sauces, biscuits, pancakes, things like that. And then we have self-raising flour, which I need to stock up on. Self-raising flour is actually just plain flour with a bit of baking powder and salt added. This is where some people can get confused because it's assumed that self-raising flour would be good for something like a bread, which is just not true. The fact that there is salt and baking powder in it means that if you attempt to add yeast to it, the baking powder and the yeast don't interact too well and your bread just doesn't work. Self-raising flour is good for things like really quick cakes, scones, and kind of like spongier aerated batters. So remember, strong white for structure, plain for everyday, self-raising for speed. Anyway, if anybody else has any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I'm having to take it easy with my knee, so I don't mind doing a couple of the answer videos. And if I don't know the answer, I have the time to do a bit of research. And I love doing food research. Drop me a follow if this was in any way useful and you like my content, and I'll catch you on the next one.